Hello everybody, a big welcome back to my channel. Welcome to your Sunday video. Today we're going to be talking about something I don't really talk about. Sorry, I've got an itchy armpit. That's not a good way to start. Today we're going to be talking about something that I don't tend to discuss a lot on this channel. I don't really know why. I just don't really feel like it's appropriate to. I mean, I watch YouTubers that would happily film a video of themselves drinking or drunk. I would enjoy the video, but I just feel like if I was to do that, I would cringe so hard watching myself talk when I'm drunk, because that's not something you want to hear, and it's not something that I want to hear the next day either. No. You know when you hear someone's filmed videos or you filmed videos from the night before, I take a good week to play that back because I'm a little bit scared about what I'm about to witness. But alcohol. Let's discuss alcohol. Speaking of Sunday, you probably are all hungover, right? Maybe like 50-40% of you. A couple people from the YouTube community has been discussing alcohol a bit more, and the topic of alcohol has been something that for the first time YouTubers are talking about, in the sense of maintaining a healthy relationship with alcohol and alcoholism in general, which I think is awesome, and I feel like it's such a big breath of fresh air because it rings a lot of bells to me and it speaks some truths to me. Hearing a lot of influencers discuss the topic of alcohol recently has made me think a lot about my own relationship with it. Some things that I don't talk about. I haven't ever spoken about that properly. With alcohol, you can't really talk too seriously about it because everyone kind of brushes it off as something that we all do. And yeah, I know it makes us do silly things, it makes us say stupid stuff, but it's fun, and isn't it funny how alcohol does that? But sometimes it's not always as funny and like hashtag relatable as that. Obviously, I would prefer if any of the stuff I'm about to say in this video is listened to by people over the age of 18 if you live in the UK, and over the age of 21 if you're in the USA. Maintaining a healthy relationship with alcohol is so incredibly important because alcohol is one of the easiest things we can get access to drug-wise. We're surrounded by it and it's just so easy to kind of take part in enjoying it and consuming it, which is fine. But on the other hand, it's very easy to slip up and spiral down to this scary dark place where your life is run by alcohol. My own experience and my own personal history with alcohol, I don't tend to talk about a lot, especially online, because I will get probably a lot of stick for it. People will look at me in a different way. Whatever, I'm gonna do it because I feel as though this may speak to a lot of people who are watching this. It came into my life at a very young age. I had, and I still have, friends who are older than me. I've always been a type of person who gets along with older people. I mean, it's changed a bit now because everyone's mature now, but when I was younger, I found myself wanting to hang out with older people because I just found people my age were really immature. So yeah, I hung out with a lot of older people. That meant that I was kind of growing up in their world rather than mine, and I was introduced to drinking alcohol at a really young age, and it wasn't in a good way either. It was binge drinking excessively. Like, I drunk more then than I ever have nowadays for years. It's weird. It's like when you're introduced to something new, you just go crazy about it because it's new and exciting. This feeling it gives you is just really fun and addictive in a way. And around about that time, I'm not going to say an age because I don't want people to judge me even more than they probably will when I'm saying that I drunk at such a ridiculously young age. At this age, I had made a lot of friends that were older whilst we were all like hanging out at parks or just chilling out drinking. It sounds as trashy as it was, but at the time it didn't feel trashy. I was making friends with people when I was drinking, and I was only forming friendships when I was drunk, and I found it really hard to be friends with people or just communicate or just, you know, interact without being under the influence of alcohol. I found it fun. I didn't have any problem with that. I mean, I would be like, cool, this drink makes me talk to anyone. If I want to be friends with that person over there, I can be friends with that person over there. Obviously, this was like a really fun time for me and I enjoyed it. It was just one of those things where as soon as that time was over where I was drinking, I was like, I want to do that again. I can't wait for the next weekend to come around. Because I was like going through all these new experiences as this young human being, I started introducing my own young friends to the idea of alcohol, and I'll talk about it with them at school and then be like, we should all hang out and drink alcohol. I was able to get hold of alcohol for everyone. I would just be like, this is fun, and they would agree, and like they would try it and be like, this is actually quite fun, like the feeling, it gives us a buzz, it's a new experience. And for quite some time I remember feeling like the bad influence out of my friendship group. I remember parents telling my parents that they didn't want their kid hanging around with me, or they would just be very suspicious about what I was doing with their child. They'd heard that I, had gotten hold of alcohol once and given it to their daughter or something like that. At this point in time, you can cue house parties, chilling in the park with a load of beers, wine, or just anything we could get our hands on. There was a couple summers of my friendship group from school and schools like nearby us, like people we were friends with, chilling out in a certain area and just getting off our trolleys and getting very drunk. Some of us were drinking more than others because some people got drunk quicker, but all in all, we had the intentions of getting drunk. We loved it, and honestly, it is unsafe and dangerous. I still think of some of the times we had nowadays because they were just some of the best moments of my life. Like the best days of my life were back in the day when you rebel and you do things that you're not allowed because you know you're not allowed to do them. They give you this exciting feeling and you want more and more and more of it because you're young and you're reckless. Around about this time, I noticed that I was blacking out a lot more than my friends. When people say I got blackout drunk, and I didn't really know what that meant, obviously, before I started drinking. But then when I had experienced it for the first time, I remember waking up and being like, I just don't remember my night. It was quite annoying because everyone else knew what they got up to in the night, and I was like, what happened? Like, what? So I sort of taught myself how to figure out how drunk I was so I could avoid the blackouts. But I still had a lot of trouble with that, and honestly, I've only recently learned how to stop that from happening because I still hate that. Like, who wants to wake up and not remember how good their night was? Also, if you spent a lot of money that night and you forgot it, you've wasted that money essentially. Alcohol started affecting my relationship. There were 3 times in total that alcohol came between me and my partner at the time, and not in like a cute way, like, oh, it's becoming a little bit of an issue. It just was messy, stupid and dumb for the both of us. Like, it wasn't just one of us. It was young people around alcohol experiencing this feeling of being a different person and just being invincible. It got very stupid and messy, and we messed each other around, we broke each other's hearts, we did stupid shit, we kept coming back and being like, it's okay, we can get over this. And eventually, like, the relationship crumbled anyway, but it was a good relationship before it ended. However, there were bumps in the road because of alcohol, and that was really our only issue. I would like to know, if alcohol was out of the equation, whether we would have had any bumps. I remember that was the first time it ever affected me, like, personally, on a personal level. Just before I was 18 years old was when alcohol kind of like stopped really being a big thing in my life. I think it was because the people I used to hang out with were 18 and over nowadays, so they just went out clubbing. I would still like drink quite a bit with friends from school every now and again. In comparison to before, it went down quite a bit, and I just focused on college, drunk occasionally. Yeah, and excessively. I could never, have a sip and be like, I'm done. But it would just be very, like, every now and again, rather than just, let's get drunk, it's the weekend. But then, when my 18th rolled around, naturally, people start drinking more because they can go out now. and in the UK you're allowed to drink, and friends would be like, let's go out, and you go out more, and I could buy alcohol and it's just easier to access. And I remember dreaming being able to buy a bottle of whatever when I was under 18, but when I turned 18 I rarely did it, but I was allowed to, so I did it. And then it was round about this time alcohol began affecting my relationship again. Not the same relationship, a new relationship. This was probably the biggest impact it has had, I would say. It had torn so many things up and shredded them into pieces from both sides. Whether that was my partner moaning at me for drinking because they weren't too into alcohol themselves, like arguing with me for being tipsy or just drunk, just having like this approach towards alcohol that they had and not liking me drinking it. I felt as though that wasn't fair. Like if I wanted to drink, I could. So that started off a load of arguments in itself, because people have different views about alcohol, that's fine, but that can clash if your views are different. But more importantly, way more importantly than that, it affected me in a way that I won't probably forget. I don't think I'll forgive myself for some of the things that I'd done under the influence of alcohol when I was in a relationship. It's something that I'm very ashamed of and I don't talk about. People tend to feel as though they're a different person when they're drunk, and they do things they would never dream of doing when they were sober. And I definitely did that. I did something very out of character, and I tore my relationship apart because of it. Luckily enough, I was with someone who was forgiving enough to say, you're a dick, but we can make this work. Even though there were more issues in my life, like it wasn't just the alcohol that made me do stupid shit, I just had things going on in my head anyway, and with alcohol that just equals to a big fat mess around the corner. So I'm not entirely, blaming alcohol, but that was such a heavy part of the problem. But fast forward like a year down the line, I'm not with the same partner anymore. Alcohol still rears its ugly head and interferes with things and affected a family relationship, which had never happened before. I've always been told that I'm quite an annoying drunk. I'm quite obnoxious. I change my personality. I just don't act like Ellie anymore, and I'm just a different person, and people can see that just like change in me, which is kind of hard to hear, of course. It caused an argument, like a row, like a really vicious sting. Like, I say that because it came from someone who isn't likely to shout at me, and it came from someone who I would put my life on the line for. Like, I care about them so much, and to know that the way I am upset them so much because I, act a certain way and I act quite like vicious when I'm drunk. They were so angry about the way I was being that they felt it was necessary to talk to me the way they did, and it caused quite a bit of drama for a while, and it upset me for quite a while, and it upset them for quite a while. Things have only just got a bit better from that. I'm having to learn to stop this change of personality that happens when I drink. Nowadays, I still find myself recognising those little parts of me. Nowhere near as intense. It's taken a long time to learn, but I've learned. That's the important thing. Little differences in me now have made a big impact to, stop things from fucking up. For example, I actually enjoy the taste of alcohol now. That is something that I didn't used to even think about. I didn't see alcohol as like a tasty treat. I'd be like, let's get crunk. Another thing that most definitely helps is that I don't surround myself in people that have a bad relationship with alcohol. Like, I haven't purposely gotten rid of them, they just happen to not be in my life anymore. Yes, I still know people that drink a lot of alcohol, but they don't depend on it, or they don't have really strong views upon it. They just enjoy it in their life every now and again. Like I said, strong views upon things like that can cause a lot of issues. In some ways, I am quite an easily influenced person, so if somebody drinks a lot around me, I'm like, I'll just join them. Or if somebody is completely against it, that's going to cause tension, because if I do want some, they'd be like, what are you doing? It very, very much helps that I'm in a much happier place these days. Like I was saying, when you're in a bad place, whatever that might mean to you, and you start mixing alcohol with that, it can lead to very messy consequences, which I've just discussed happens. Every time something bad happened, it was because I had like a lot of issues going on in my life at that moment. That's why something happened. So it helps that I don't have that anymore. I don't feel the urge to hit the bottle, as they say, or I don't have that dependence on it because I'm sad. All of that being said, I say and do stupid, dumb shit that I wouldn't do if I wasn't under the influence. I turn to alcohol when I'm anxious and I want to curb my shyness and I want to make myself more approachable by people, and I do tend to have, not overboard anymore, I used to like chug a bottle and just wait for my confidence to start coming, but I would just have a drink to kind of calm myself down, and that is not something you should do if you have problems with anxiety, by the way. Like, that is not a piece of advice I would give anybody, but I'm guilty of it, and I still have that relationship with alcohol in that way. And I turn to alcohol to enable myself to have a good time. I relate it to having fun. I see it as something I can do that will ensure I have a good time. All those things being said, all of these things I have the ability to control. The doing and saying stupid stuff when I drink can easily be controlled by not drinking as much so that I turn into someone else. I can drink, I can be me, I just need to know my own personal limit, which everybody has. Just because someone's able to drink loads of alcohol, that doesn't necessarily mean you are. You need to learn how much you and your mind and your body can take, because everyone's very, very different. It's fine to drink alcohol, but it's depending on it. It's clutching onto alcohol when you are anxious at all the times of you being anxious. Like, that is a problem. If you cannot physically experience the feeling of anxiety without solving it with alcohol, that's a problem. It is absolutely fine to associate alcohol with a good time. It's absolutely fine to drink a cocktail when you're having a party and you want to have a good time. But if you can't have a good time without it, that is a problem. So what's the point? Why am I talking about this? Why am I making a video about my relationship with alcohol? I want you, or just people in general, to think about their relationship with alcohol and talk about their relationship with it and recognize it. I feel like because it's just such a globally enjoyed thing, it's such a common thing, we don't think about whether we are experiencing it in the right way. It is a legal substance, but it can be very dangerous. It doesn't always give you physical danger. It is very similar to a mental health problem, because you don't know it's there, but you recognize you've got some sort of issue, and other people won't realize you have that issue because it's in your mind. Like, unless people are watching you drink a lot, they're not going to know you have an issue. I'm also talking about it because if, like me, you see yourself becoming someone else, if you've spoken to someone like they're a piece of crap, like I have, if you've yelled at someone, shouted at someone, or if you've been unfaithful purely because you're under the influence of alcohol, all this stuff that is just out of character is not common. Like, that's not a normal way to be drinking alcohol. To conclude this video, if there's anything I want you to take from it at all, it is the things that I've gathered along the way, which is 1, know your limits. Notice your comfy drunk stage. The biggest problem for me throughout all of this, what I've just spent the God knows how long talking about, every time I got blackout drunk or got too drunk I did something stupid, I got too drunk to realise I was acting differently to what I usually am, was all because of I passed the point of comfy stage. I would get into a point of the night where I'd feel really good and I'd be like, right, I'm at this stage where I'm tipsy but I'm not drunk, but I'm comfortable and like I'm having a good time, and I like this level and stage that I'm at. So then that makes me think that I need to get more alcohol into my system, because my drunk mind's like, you're enjoying this, why don't you have more? It's not like food, or it's not like music. It's not as if you hear something or you taste something and you think this is nice, I know what will make it nicer, more of it. It's not like that at all. If you recognise that you're in a good place, leave it. More alcohol won't enhance it, it will make it not a good place. It will take you in another direction. Number 2, which kind of goes with that, know your limits. I was kind of talking about this earlier, but recognise the fact that everybody's different. So just because your best mates all happen to be drinking from the bottle, if you're quite happy drinking a couple glasses of wine and that gets you more than tipsy enough than you need to be, then that's fine. I mean, it's not a competition. It used to be when I was little. That's why I want to mention this, because it was a big deal about how much you drank, but now it's just, how do you feel? Do you feel drunk? Great. And lastly, just recognise something is wrong if you start noticing that you are depending on it. Instead of thinking about alcohol as something that might be included into your night, you might start trying to revolve your night or maybe even life around alcohol. Let's say alcohol got taken away from you. Are you gonna like throw a tantrum? Are you going to think your night's just instantly ruined now because you can't drink it? I remember thinking that when I was younger, because I was like, this whole weekend I was looking forward to drinking, and now someone's taken that away. I feel like I'm going to scream. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave this video as it is now. I've spoken way too much about this. If there was anything you would like to discuss in the comment section below, please do it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to be notified every time I make a brand new video. I've got social media such as Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. And I will see ya on Monday. Toodle flip! Mwah.